Hi, I'm Dinesh from CBT, and today we have with us the Renault Clio RS. Now, a brief history about the car. As you can tell, there are a lot of sports-oriented vehicles on the market, but what separates the men from the boys would be who makes them. And the Renault Clio RS is made by Renault Sport Technologies, which is basically a division of Renault that acts as a link between their Formula 1 team and their road-going cars. What this does is, it develops the technologies that it gets from its Formula 1 cars and tries to apply them to their road-going cars to make sure that their customers get the best. And the Clio RS, as you can tell from later, is definitely a one hot hatch. Sitting in the Clio RS engine bay is a variation of Renault's F4R engine. It's been highly tuned to fit the image of this hot hatch, and it's called now the F4R RS. This inline-4 2-litre engine is naturally aspirated and pushes out an amazing 197 horsepower at 7,250 RPM. Now, taking into consideration it's a 2-litre, that translates to almost 100 horsepower per litre, which is quite an amazing figure in itself. Torque is 215 Newton meters, which is a maximum available from 5,550 RPM. But the good thing about this car is, from its dyno chart, we can tell that torque, although not peak, most of it hits in from very low in the RPM range. From about 2,500 RPM, you have a good healthy dose of torque that really keeps this car going, even though it's a 6-speeder. Now, what we like about this engine is that it's a very high revving, red lines at 8,000 RPM, and it really revs very lightly all the way there. It's raring to go, very light and responsive. Now, what sets this car apart from the Garden Variety Clio? Number one is the air extractors that are placed on the front wheel arch. These things are lifted off their Formula 1 cars and applied to the road car. As you can see, it helps for the brake cooling and airflow around the car to create a more aerodynamic vehicle. Now, another thing lifted from their Formula 1 cars is this diffuser that is placed under the rear bumper. Unlike some of the Jinjang cars that you might see on the road, this one is purpose-built by Renault Sport Technologies, and they claim downforce up to 40 kilos in city driving. And once you take this car to its natural habitat on the track, the diffuser can create up to 70 kilos of downforce to keep this thing planted around the corners. Now, the suspension system of this car features a double-axis strut system for the front. It uses a lot of aluminium components to save weight. The rear uses a primeval torsion beam, and it can be felt during cornering when the rear seems to lose grip a lot faster than the front. However, a quick dash of the steering wheel and opposite lock will correct it. Apart from that, the Clio RS also has a wider track on the front and rear compared to the standard Clio. Stopping power is provided by 4-pot Brembo calipers on the front, wrapped around 312mm discs. The rear are 2-pot Renault brakes wrapped around 310mm discs. Although you might think that that is sufficient, however, the car suffers from brake fade a lot. After about 2-3 sharp corners with stomping on the brakes, you can immediately feel the brake fade and that the disc just lightly biting. When it comes to grip, there really is nothing else that can be compared to it. Even on Conti Sport Contact 3 tyres, the car grips the surface very easily and doesn't lose grip at all. However, ease off the throttle and the back slides out. That is, of course, from the torsion beam that is quite an outdated suspension setup, especially for a car like this. We also like the high revving engine that is very responsive even from low end. Even in 6th gear, just stomp on the gas and it will go. This car really does have a working 6th gear and not just for show. Clio RS is quite a good all-rounder, except for the part that it doesn't have 4 doors. One thing that we noted was the fuel consumption is actually very good. Even though our foots were firmly planted most of the time, we managed to get about slightly above 400 kilometers on a full tank, and I think that's pretty good considering the performance aspect of this car and how other performance cars seem to drink fuel like a fish. Now, the one thing that may prove a hindrance to buyers is its price. This thing goes for slightly over 210,000 ringgit, and when you have that much of money to spend, you're probably hoping for 4 doors for a bit more practicality, and then cars like the Golf GTI and Civic Type R come to mind. However, this thing shouldn't be overlooked, because as you can tell from our video, it is definitely a hot little hatch that can keep up with the rest of the cars.